So many Christians in particular opt not to get involved in politics. They do not want to cast a ballot. And so that leaves this huge void of people who manipulate and use the system to their advantage because they don't want to get involved, right? What do you say to that? Because that is so true. Like the church, secularism, you said it, the church is to be tolerated by the state only insofar as it relinquishes its claim on the public square. This is what's got to stop.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And Alberta's history, as I mentioned earlier, during the mid 20th century, Alberta had two premiers who were radio preachers at the same time, like Bible Bill Aberhart. He formed the Social Credit Party and was elected in 1935. When he died in 1943, he was replaced by Ernest Manning, who was the second longest serving premier in Canadian history. They were both radio preachers at the same time as they were premiers. They were very well known evangelical leaders in Alberta, and they were doing, religious ministry and leading the government at the same time. And this was okay. They never lost an election because this was widely accepted in Alberta at that time that it was okay to be a Christian and be involved in politics. Like this was kind of the norm. Like that's back when Alberta was known as the Bible Belt of Canada, because we had this strong, Christian religious influence in the provincial government for decades. And I bring that up to encourage Christians to realize that this is something that has been normal in Alberta and to some degree in Canada over our history. And we're being led to believe that there's something wrong with Christians being involved. They only complain when he goes to evangelical church because the leftists, they say they're against religion and politics, but they're not against religion and politics. They're against just Christianity and politics because these other things are okay. They're okay with, Muslims are citizens too, and they can be involved, or Sikhs can be involved, they're citizens too. But evangelical Christians, whoa, what are you guys doing? You shouldn't be involved in politics. So we get that negative message, and Christians need to realize that it's not true. And the leftists are not even consistent in it because they're only opposed to some people and not others. So Christians should realize that they have every right as a citizen of Canada to participate just as much as anybody else, and they have just as much right to bring their beliefs into the political square as anybody else. There's no law or provision or anything that there's one group of people who aren't allowed to, bring their values into politics, and that's the Christians. That's kind of what the left wants us to believe, but there's absolutely nothing like that. It's kind of like they're stripping us, or trying to strip us of our rights as citizens when they tell us that we shouldn't be involved or that we shouldn't bring our beliefs into politics. It's completely unfair and completely untrue. Like the state is an institution with particular leaders, and the church is a particular institution with leaders, and those two institutions need to be separate because they are supposed to be separate. But there's a difference between that and separating religion from politics, because you cannot separate religion from politics, because religion just basically refers to people's fundamental beliefs. So you might be a Christian or a Muslim or Sikh, or you might be a secularist. Like secularists don't want to think of their beliefs as religion, but it functions every bit as much of religion. It's beliefs that they have, about the nature of life and reality and so on. So when secularists bring their beliefs into the political square, it's no different from Christians bringing their beliefs into the political square, because you can never separate religion and politics. They're always linked together. So that's the separation of church and state is a completely different idea than the separation of religion and politics. And religion and politics are never separated and can't be separated.
So on that note, because I think like when we go back to the 1960s, when we saw a shift away from religion in schools and religion in politics and those types of things, and we have had Canada is built upon it is very multicultural, it is very diverse in who is here, but so many people came here because Christianity is so very tolerant and accepting of other cultures. And I think it's very important. Like I really became excited about this when I realized that there is no greater legal system than what was in Canada prior to 1982, when the protections did come from God.